movies, poems, books, cartoons, paintings, all pieces of art and literature, all so vastly different, but all equally and unequally fascinating. One of the most interesting pieces of literature we studied throughout the course of the semester was The Seed Keeper. And of all the cross-references and parallels that it could have gave us, we couldn't help but to draw it back to the story that we all know as the Lorax. The Lorax unintentionally does an amazing job at showing the parallels and dynamics and themes shown in The Seed Keeper, and it's pretty easy to miss if you don't take a moment to process all that's being shown. Both the Lorax and The Seed Keeper have an interesting display on generational trauma, the connection to land and culture, and colonization/indigenous reclamation. Again, it's really easy to miss where the two stories show parallels, but once you take a deeper look and broaden your perspective, hopefully we can do a great job at presenting to you how spectacular of a job that both stories do at showing the topics that don't get enough light. We present to you the Lorax and the Seed Keeper.
For those of you who don't know, the Lorax is about a boy named Ted. He starts to explore outside the walled city of Thneedville to uncover the truth that the government has been withholding from them. Once he breaks outside of the wall, he meets a suspicious guy named the Onceler. Ted starts asking about what happened to all the trees around them. The Onceler starts to tell a vicious story about how his own business took over the Truffalo forest despite the Lorax's efforts to protect it. Eventually, the Onceler's empire collapsed, and he realized it was too late to reverse the damage he caused to the forest. After telling Ted this story, the Onceler gives Ted the last seed in the world to replant the trees and start growing the forest once again. With this, Ted returns to Thneedville, determined to plant the last Truffalo seed. In doing so, he inspired the city to uncover the secrets that have been withholden from them and got people to start caring about what has been happening around them the whole time.
The Seed Keeper by Diane Wilson follows Rosaline Ironwing, a Dakota woman who returns to her childhood home and uncovers the stories of her ancestors who protected the seeds through generations of loss and upheaval, revealing how seeds carry memory, survival, and identity. The novel blends timelines to show the long-lasting effects of generational trauma, including family separation, cultural erasure, and the disruption of indigenous relationships with land. It also confronts the damage done to native land through forest removals, industrial agriculture, and the suppression of traditional food systems, while highlighting the ongoing impacts of colonization. At the same time, the story centers indigenous reclamation as Rosaline reconnects with her heritage, the land, and the seeds that symbolize resilience and continuity, showing how tending to ancestral knowledge becomes an act of healing and restoration. Both the Lorax and the Seed Keeper explore how the destruction of land leads directly to the loss of culture, identity, and community. In the Lorax, industrial greed strips the environment of its resources, showing how careless extraction severs the relationship between people and the natural world. The ruined Truffalo forest becomes a symbol of how quickly a landscape and the values tied to it can disappear. The Seed Keeper depicts a deeper, historically grounded version of this pattern, depicting how indigenous communities face the long-term consequences of colonization, corporate agriculture, and environmental degradation. As seeds, land, and traditional knowledge are threatened, so too is cultural continuity. Together, the two works reveal that when land is harmed, cultural survival is put at risk, and that healing requires respecting the natural world and reclaiming the relationships that sustain both people and place.
Both the Seed Keeper and the Lorax show how colonizing forces reveal the natural world and the communities rooted in it. In the Seed Keeper, generations of indigenous seeds and traditions are pushed aside, showing how colonization strips the land of identity and balance. Likewise, the Lorax illustrates the Onceler's hunger for profit as it cuts down all of the Truffalo trees, leaving behind a gray, emptied world where life once lived and thrived. In both stories, the stripping of the land and environment symbolizes a deeper breaking, yet each story also plants a seed of hope. Rosalie reconnects with her Dakota roots through seed keeping and revives her culture, while Ted, holding the last Truffalo seed, carries the possibility of new growth and reclamation of the land they once had. Together, These pieces show that healing from colonization begins with restoring respect for the land and reclaiming the traditions to help it breathe again.
The means of this documentary wasn't just to give you a rundown on the two pieces of literature, but it was actually meant to showcase the parallels between two universes that much people wouldn't even think would collide. From the generational trauma being passed down in Rosalie's family and the citizens of Thneedville, to the strong connection between the Dakota land matching up with the burdened connection of Thneedville that we see in Ted's grandma, to finally the colonization seeing happening in the U.S. natives, as well as the Truffula Fours, both having their own unruly approaches to being colonized. At first glance, it's just a children's movie meant to entertain kids of all shapes and sizes, but upon further analysis, you can find a lot of these social justice issues from the fictional tale of the Seed Keeper that we even see a lot of our natives struggling with today. It's really great to appreciate fiction literature and the storytelling at face value, but things become even more captivating and eye-opening when you take a deeper dive into the stories we've loved our whole lives and begin to think deeper about the message that the authors, directors, and creators are trying to convey.